Gaming is for friends.
I thought this music was so epic.
Oh, stuff it.
Hi, I'm Ant,
And I'm Woody.
and we are.
Anything gaming.
Come and enjoy the show.
Oh, I forgot we had a new intro and it was half the length of the
Yeah,
old one.
right.
It goes
I remember
way-
that. I was looking at it, I was like,
way
oh,
quicker.
wow, yeah.
Episode
Yeah,
47, I think. We're like flying through episodes. I'm Ant,
yeah.
he's Woody. We are talking Switch 2 today. How are you? Anyway, sorry.
Oh, no, I was caught off guard by the intro too. I was thinking because we've only had the one episode with the new intro, so I'm thinking we're going to see the normal thing, like me playing Mega Man, all that, and all of a sudden we're on the screen. It's like, oh
Yeah.
God, there we are.
Remember that time that we went to PAX together and we did that?
Oh, yeah.
We saw each other and
I'm gonna think that every time I see that now.
yeah, I know. That's why I wanted to put it there, so that we actually did see each other in real life, so people don't.
I
think
know.
that
Yes. Right. Yeah. You know, like we know each other. This ain't some weird AI conversation here. We're real
Yeah.
people talking to each
Yeah,
other.
that's right. You've got to show people the real stuff.
Sure.
But yeah, Switch 2. I don't know. It's about a month old now. Is it? How old is it now?
About yeah. Wait. Well, Mario Kart World was released. Like I know the date that Mario Kart World was released, June 5th, stateside.
Well, that's the day
I
that
don't
it
know if
came
it was
out. So it's
Yeah. So I mean, I'm assuming like I would consider that to be really like I'm sure some Switch 2s got released out in the wild before that just to get them right. You know, like people
yeah. But
that
they
could.
did
People that
you
could get away with
see?
it.
Did you see that where people got them like a couple of days early, and Nintendo had actually blocked it so you couldn't actually use them until the day. If you turned it
Yeah.
on, it had to go for an internet update, and if it didn't, and the internet servers weren't up, so your Switch 2 was
Right,
null
yeah.
and void until the date. So people are like, oh yes, I got it early, I can play early, but no, you can't. Nintendo strikes again.
Nah, but so it's we're nearing the first month of the Switch 2 being in existence. It's really only been about 3 weeks. I would say 3 weeks. Yeah. Okay, so my friend's birthday was on June 5th.
Yeah.
So he was able, like, the Switch came out that day, and he pre-ordered it, so he got it that day. We went over his house a couple days later for a party. That was the first time I got to play it, and I was instantly.
I do want to actually touch on that though, because both of us swore that we were never going to get it straight away. But like, I'm pretty sure we both talked about how we were going to wait a couple of months and we'll see how it's going. And we might even get the second one. And then both of us are sitting here right now with the Switch 2. And then we can talk about Switch 2 now because we both bought one. But we weren't. So why did you change your mind? Why did you get it quicker than you were expecting?
Actually, I'll tell my story first. I want to know how you got the Switch too. So I was going on the assumption that it would take months, you know, at least around Christmas to get it Switch too. You know, because we all do have vivid flashbacks of PS5 and Series X coming out, and what a shit show that was. Although a lot of that was because of the pandemic. You know, that was just a bad time to release a console. So Nintendo had that advantage too. It's been reported. Well, no, I don't want to get into that tangent. Going back, so I was optimistic that I would be able to find one. I was looking at my funds and I was like, all right, I can part with the money to get like I completely balance it out. Mario Kart bundle, Switch, Pro controller, at least one game. I ended up overspending because I also forgot about warranties and sales tax. I wanted to get in New Hampshire because New Hampshire doesn't have state tax. I ended up getting in Massachusetts, and I'll explain that. So every time I'd go out, I'd ask the GameStop people, just like, "Hey, how's it going? Yeah, you got any Switch 2s?" Obviously, they didn't. But one cool employee that I'm not going to mention the store that this person was working at casually let it drop that they should expect some Wednesday, and I was like, "All right." There's a GameStop about a 5-minute drive away from where I work. I'm working Wednesday. They open at 12 o'clock. If I ask, I can take my lunch break around 11:45-ish, get there in time. Shouldn't be too much of a line. You know, what they weren't making a public knowledge because I was checking up on it, and I'll get there. So lunch break comes. I end up leaving at 12:10. When I get there, there's 5 people already in line. So now I'm number 6. Just like we don't know how many Switch 2s there are. None of that. And the line's filling like every couple minutes.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and this is an hour lunch break, by the way.
Yeah.
I get there about like 5-6 minutes because I took it's a straight shot highway. It's pretty cool. 5-6 minutes just to get there. You know what I mean? So I'm on the clock. I'm assuming I only got about 40 minutes left on this line.
So as word got out that there's Switch 2s here and like everyone starts coming, or like how did everyone start knowing?
Well, no, because the first person that was in line said that someone did, and occasionally someone would come out and be like, "Yeah, like we're going." This lasted for about 10 minutes.
Okay.
At the 10-minute mark, the guy announced, "Okay, we got 10 bundle Switch 2s and 10 regular Switch 2s."
Ooh. So you had choice.
I was number. I was number. Oh, I was getting the bundle. Like I'm sure everyone in 10. Like the first 10 were getting bundled. Everyone mentioned they were, because it's funny. One thing I always forget about like being in line for video games is how friendly and united you become to everyone in line with you.
I used to love the midnight launches where you'd be camping out with your buddies.
But every time someone would come out with one, because they were only letting them one at a time. Every time someone would come out with one, they hold it up and they would go, "Yeah." Like that.
Yes.
You know, it happened to me. So yeah, like I'm number 5, so I end up going in there, buying it, come back to work with about 7 minutes left in time before I would have to punch back in. That was my Switch 2 story of getting the Switch 2. So the reason why I got it, honestly, is because I had the perfect window and opportunity. Like if I didn't get this opportunity, who knows when I would get it again.
Yeah.
So you know, I kind of hit it. How about you? What convinced you to pull the trigger?
Yeah, well, it was a way different story to you. Nowhere near as impressive. I have a guy that's making music for Lighthaze World, and he pre-ordered his Switch 2. He's been so psyched about this Switch 2, and all I've heard for the last month is, "Oh, my Switch 2 is so fantastic. I'm going to go and play Switch 2 now. Switch 2 is the best, blah, blah, blah. Switch to this, switch to that." And I'm like, it's not real. It can't be that good. Like, it's not that good. I bet. And then I was kind of going past my GameStop in Australia. They're called EB Games for anyone playing along at home. I went past there. "Do you have any Switch 2s?" They go, "Oh yeah, we got a couple." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "Can I trade in my old Switch 2?" I had my old Switches. I had 2 of them. Switch 2 Switches get confused. I had 2 of them, and I took them down, and I got like $300. So I only had to pay half the price of the Switch 2. They're about $600 here. I didn't get the Mario Kart bundle because I don't really care for Mario Kart. And yeah, it was good. Like we got it and got it home, all that kind of stuff. Pretty happy with it. I mean, I'm not that happy with it. Let me just say, I'm not really, like I told the music guy, this is just not that much of an upgrade. I don't feel as impressed as some people. Some people, I think you have to be a huge Nintendo fan to really enjoy the Switch 2 at this point. But I do think it will get better as the games start coming for it, if that makes sense.
Well, okay, so before we dive into Mario Kart World, I did want to get a physical game for the Switch. And, you know, I like just because of the sheer absurdity of this game being on a Nintendo console, I went ahead and got Cyberpunk for the Switch. And I also figured...
Did you play the original Cyberpunk, like day one release of the original Cyberpunk?
No, well, it was the day one. It was like about 4 days later. I wasn't in a rush to pick it up.
Yeah,
by the time it came out... By the time it came out, the reviews were coming... Oh, yeah. By the time it came out, though, reviews were coming in, and people were calling it like a buggy mess. And, you know, just not the hottest game. And it really, like, cooled my jets with that game. I got as far enough to the point where you meet Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, okay. No, but what I wanted to know is my brain making this up? Because I just went ahead and bought Cyberpunk just recently again because I'm like I wanted something to play on my Steam Deck, and I'm like maybe I'll just go and buy Cyberpunk. Maybe I should have bought it for the Switch too. Anyway, that's a different argument. My brain, is there a Mandela effect here? Did I used to be able to choose the penis size of my character, And now can I not do that?
I chose the peanut size of my character in the Switch 2 version.
Did
That was
you?
part of the hilarity.
I know,
I
but
just thought to
I
myself,
can't
using
find
a
how to
penis-
do it on my Steam Deck. I'm
Okay.
trying to, like, is there a
No,
special
no,
button?
no,
Have
no.
I missed
Like,
something
no.
here?
You have to enable nudity first. It's above the Switch to decide, because if you enable nudity, then you get the choice. I don't want to go too deep into this.
Okay,
I don't want to go too
yeah, but I didn't enable nudity. Okay, so I've been playing it all wrong. Okay. I thought that I've missed out on something here, and I'm thinking, have they just nuked it? Have they done something? Has something bad happened? And how can I do this to make myself feel better about myself? And that's what I've done wrong. Okay, thank you.
long, strong, and down to get the friction on. It's still there. Yeah. I'm not going to divulge my character, and you can probably guess. But yeah, no, well, that was part of it, because like it's a graphic game, you know, it's a serious game, and it would solve two things for me getting on the Switch. One, I could more or less, I'm sure this ain't the complete power of the Switch 2, but it's a good start to see what the Switch 2 can do visually.
Yeah.
And two, just like playing that kind of game on a Nintendo system.
Feels a bit dirty,
I love
doesn't
that.
it? It feels
like,
a bit dirty.
well, no, even when I played Skyrim on the Switch, like it was like, wow, Skyrim on the Switch, you know, shit like that. Even though by that time, well, even now the game's still old. I mean, I'm hoping they'll do a update for Switch 2. That'd be nice.
Okay.
Actually, technically, I ended up getting another game with the Switch 2.
Oh.
If you have the expansion pass, you know, the Nintendo Online expansion pass, you can upgrade your copy of Switch, both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom for free to play the Switch 2 editions of those. I did play some Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition.
Okay, so I don't have that, and that was my first real bed bug with Nintendo, is that when you play the Breath of the Wilds, and then it's basically playing exactly the same. It's just emulating like a Switch 1. It's not like, even you go into the heavy areas of the game, and it still struggles to play those bits because it's not optimized for the Switch 2 unless you get the expansion pack.
I mean, yeah, like, okay, so I played it, and honestly, like, I try to really scan to see, like, any difference. The good is the frame rate definitely seems improved, like the performance rate, you know, like, not that the original, I think, had a lot of slowdown. Things just seem to, like, click a lot smoother, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Visually, the game was so impressive originally anyway, you know, so it's just hard when you get into that style. You look at it, and how could it look better when it already looks that good? So, you know, it's really kind of hard to gauge that. But with the performance, yeah, you know, there's a bit of a difference. I'm sure that's all there is.
Well, they did. Apparently, it runs at 60 FPS on the Switch 2, and it has, like, obviously you can do it in 4K if you've got it docked, which is like a massive, massive upgrade compared to the Switch 1, what that used to be able to handle. So,
yeah,
you probably would notice a difference on a big nice TV.
I got a 48-inch that I got my.
Well, there's a caveat to the whole 4K as well. That only if you've got, I think, a certain types of TV that Nintendo will then put it at 4K. So it's not necessarily going to always go in 4K, I don't think. So
no, I mean, I will, like, I gotta say, Cyberpunk as well, visually stunning. It was like I was playing the PS5 version. You know, it looked good on my TV. It looked fucking just as beautiful as it ever did, if not better. I recently played the PS5 version. It looked like that. So at least it's at that level. You know, games are gonna look better than that eventually. I'm sure something like the new Resident Evil will probably look beautiful. But that really kind of eased my mind on what the Switch 2 can do as far as, like, right now. I'm sure it'll get eclipsed by the time PS6 and whatever come out. Actually, did you heard news about that, right? The new thing Microsoft is making?
Yeah, the Rogue Xbox. Yeah.
No,
are you talking about that? Are we
well, yeah. No, I'm not. From what I heard, if I got it wrong, fact check me. But it's pretty much their take on a portable system.
Yeah, but so it's not. it's not an Xbox portable. You know how there's a roguelite, which is whatever brand makes a roguelite, which is basically like a Steam Deck. So basically, they've got that same console. They've kind of tweaked the handles a little bit to look a little bit more like a Xbox handle. And then they've put the Xbox software engineers have gone into it, and basically it'll boot up straight into your Xbox store. So it's basically, it's not an Xbox console so much, but it's in partnership with Xbox. So it is
kind of whack.
But it actually, all reports is that it runs really, really good because they've taken. So before, these Rogue allies used to run Windows 11 or whatever on them, and so the Xbox software engineers basically removed all of that crap out of the console. So they've only got like this really light Xbox thing running in the background, which makes the games run 10 times better, because I don't have to run Windows at the same time. So the software advances have really kind of made it really good. There was actually another collab that you may have missed that's coming out later this year. Is MetaQuest is teaming up with Xbox, so you can buy a Meta Xbox. It's actually, so I've actually got a MetaQuest too as well. So this thing at the side, at the side here, it got the Xbox little logo on it, and it comes with an Xbox controller, and it loads straight into the Xbox store, and you'll be able to play. You're basically playing VR games. So if you don't have a TV or anything like that, you'll be playing over the cloud network to play Xbox games. So Xbox is kind of working out how to put their software into everything. I think their motto was a couple of years ago, every screen, they want to make every screen into an Xbox, and they're starting to do that. So
I mean, so far they've had success. I mean, I like Game Pass.
It'd be interesting to see Game Pass on the Switch. That would blow my little mind.
Oh yeah, man.
But,
no, continue. I'm sorry.
Call of Duty and that obviously coming to the Switch too. There are a lot. I'd say Indiana Jones would definitely be coming to the Switch too. Probably Forza. All of their games are gonna come to the Switch too. So yeah, it's an interesting thing to see what happens.
One game I would like to see come into the Switch too, only because I never thought it would come to the PlayStation, and it is Gears of War. It's coming to PlayStation 5, and I say bring it to the Switch because that way you can play portable with another, and like the co-op in that game is so good.
Yeah,
and playing online co-op for that is good, but like having separate Switches, that'd be awesome. And just like link up play like that.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. That's where Xbox for a long time Xbox is always part of Microsoft. Microsoft is always been a software company, and they're really good at software. Well, okay, maybe really good is not the right words, but they're successful. They're successful. That's a good word. But why don't they just put that knowledge into Xbox and just make games, make ways to play games easier? If they do that, they don't need the Xbox console so much. So
and I mean, they might find it now a little too crowded, because you got Sony just owning all the like Eastern countries like hard, like Microsoft. Microsoft isn't like dying out there, but they're not as big as Sony. They're not as big as Nintendo. They're just not.
I find it so fascinating that Sony only started because it got screwed over from Nintendo. Like that. That was so fascinating. We're going on a bit of a tangent. We'll get back to Switch 2 in a minute, but like, Nintendo basically asked Sony to develop a disk drive for their next console to plug into the Super Nintendo, one of them. And then Sony turned around at the 11th hour and goes, "Oh, we don't want you involved. We're going to have Philips instead." And Sony's gone, "Well, screw you. We're going to make the PlayStation." And it was only like basically a dare almost, like oh, you won't be able to go and do that. And they're like, yeah, we can. And then they've dominated, like it keeps Sony afloat, the PlayStation. That's how powerful it is. Probably Sony TVs and all that have been going on the decline for a while. And yeah.
Right. Like, I remember when I was a kid, like, I can remember Sony before PlayStation. You know, when they made good stereos, they made good televisions. I don't know if they were like the top end ones, but they were good. Yeah. You know, they were ones you would want. Like going back to CRT TV times, VCRs, things like that. Yeah, Discman, Walkmans, all that stuff. Like, and that was like Sony's brand. That was a Sony product. So when I first heard they were coming out with the PlayStation, like I didn't think it would fail, but I equated it to like Philips at the time with the CDI or Panasonic with the 3DO.
Yeah, it was confusing for your little brain to like, what? Hang on, don't you make TVs and now you're going to make a game console? That's like if Nintendo started releasing TVs, you know, it wouldn't make any sense to our little brains.
No, like, but it didn't take them long. It didn't take them long to know the PlayStation is that company's, like, that's what that company should be thinking about. You know, that's what it probably centers around.
Yeah.
But you are right. I don't know anyone that has a Sony television.
No.
A
they've
Sony
gone
Blu-ray
away.
player.
Samsung's probably the leader in all that stuff at the moment. But yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, back to the Switch 2. Can I start bitching about it yet? Can I say all the things I hate about it?
You know what? Not only that, but after that, I will also bitch. But I'll let you go first. So, what do you got?
Okay, so I think it's going to have better games in the future, but it's really got nothing new or exciting. And if you don't have the Switch or the Nintendo Online Pass, you don't get any upgrades for like stuff. And so you're basically playing your Switch 1 games at the same refresh rate, the same everything they were doing on the Switch 1, just on a slightly bigger screen. Now, the Switch 2 is actually quite heavy. I didn't, like, you're holding it and you're thinking, it actually feels heavier than the Steam Deck. I don't know if it is or not, but it just feels heavier. It does have a big heaviness to it. Which,
my scale is broken, but I would have loved to weigh them right now.
A live weighing. We could have done that.
Like,
yeah. We just figured something out, guys. But yeah, it's quite heavy. I'm still not sure about what this means for. So if you go to the Switch store, maybe you can explain this to me because I'm not very certain about what's happening here. If you go to the Switch store, where in the old Switch 1, you go to the Switch store, you buy a game, you put that, it would just go, it's downloading your game, and you're like, okay, cool. Now you go to the Switch store, you buy a game, and you get this virtual card. Now, does that mean if I put that virtual card on my account, can my kids play that virtual card, or do they have to play it through my account?
Here's how I figured it out, and this was actually, I had to do this.
Okay.
Because now you sold your Switch 1.
Yeah.
I gave my Switch 1 to Tess.
Yeah.
She got a new case for it. She wanted a new case. She didn't like the case I had. And she loved it.
It's definitely got Lano and Woody on it. Not gonna.
Right.
Oh,
yeah.
No, Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch. Wrong one. Right.
Oh yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. She's got to do Lilo and Stitch. She's been looking. No, seriously.
Okay.
But she likes to play Mario Kart 8. I like to play Mario Kart 8. Now I originally downloaded Mario Kart 8.
Right.
So because of that, I now have a virtual card because I bought it digitally, and you insert it into your Switch 2. Now, if that's in my Switch 2, she's not gonna be able to play the game on my Switch 1. Well, now her Switch 1, because of just like it only counts one card, one game kind of thing.
Okay.
It kind of
so I can still share that virtual card with my friends, but they can't play it at the same time as me.
As far as I can tell, I haven't tried this out without actually doing it, because I kind of anticipated that. That's why I figured out with virtual cards. So I ended up just getting a copy of Mario Kart 8 and just giving it to Tess.
Right.
Just be like, here, just keep this in. You'll have the real card. I'll have the virtual card that I pay with my real money.
Yeah.
So that way, and it did. We've played together.
Because the other thing that Nintendo has quietly pushed out the door while bringing in the Switch 2 is, remember when we used to get coins for buying stuff on the Nintendo store, and then you could use those coins to pay for the little bits of extra, like say you're missing a dollar or two, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, hang on, I've got a couple of coins here, I can finish paying the rest of that out with that. But that seems to be gone as well. It really yeah.
It's kind of weird that you mentioned that, because I heard about that shortly after I actually spent all my coins.
Yeah.
I forget what game I was getting. I think it was Blaster Master 03. But yeah, I needed a couple, like a little more, because I didn't have enough in my account. And it was enough. And I was like, I never use this shit. Sure, just throw it in there. And then I heard they were getting rid of it. And I was like, ooh, God, I used that in time.
Yeah. Okay. And then there's the whole camera crap that's like they're kind of trying to integrate, like, so if you've got the Mario world or any of those, Kart world or whatever it is, and all of those type of things, you can put your little camera on near your TV, and then everyone in the room that's playing will have their little face above their car so you can see who's who, and that's all lovely and nice. But you have to go and pay an extra how much dollars to go and get that camera, and then you have to get like a microphone, and then you have to get all these other bits and pieces to do that part. And then if you wanted to, you could go and buy the Nintendo game to show you what the Nintendo Switch 2 can do for $10. So then you can test out all these new features with your new devices. I just feel like there's a lot of money attached to everything we're doing now. Like we always give EA a hard time. I think it's time we start giving Nintendo a hard time for the way they just swindle money out of everyone. Like it's starting to get annoying.
And they know how to do it. When the day after I got my Switch, I was like, all right, I need a couple things. I wanted to pick up Cyberpunk, so I was at Best Buy, and I saw, like, at first I didn't know what it was, because I had to look at it. I was like, they're selling Piranha Plant for the Switch 2. It's a toy. And then I realized it's a camera.
Yeah,
it's a camera. Like, I was like, oh yeah. Like, and then I remembered Paul Rudd teaching us about that in that commercial. So that confused me. I was like, I didn't know. I figured it was only a Nintendo specific camera, and they are incredibly guilty of that. Honestly, it's weird how it happens too. Like, they start just making you actually have to spend more money to get what you want. I remember when Nintendo 64 came out, even at 13 years old, I was like, wait, it doesn't come with a game? Because there was a time where, like, back then, you got physical copies of video games with your consoles. It was great. Now, then they stopped doing it with Nintendo 64. They just didn't give you anything. Then they kind of half-assed it with, like, the demo disc and all that. And then now it's just all like, you can go online, play free-to-play games.
They went back and they gave you Mario Kart World, this one, if you paid extra.
If you paid extra.
Yeah.
But by paying extra, I end up saving, because I'm obviously going to get this game. If I'm going to get a game for the Switch 2, it's got to have to be Mario Kart. Yeah. And you said you haven't gotten Mario Kart World, right?
No, I don't care for Mario Kart World. I don't want the frustration of losing to my children, and then they yell at me, or if I win, or it's a game to make your family hate each other. That's all it's good for. All you
gotta do is just have fun with it. There's no fun in it. It's not a fun game. Like, you gotta have fun with it. I'm having fun with it. Okay, like, just play it like.
I just can't do it. But I just don't enjoy racing car games a whole lot either. Like, I don't play Forza, I don't play GTA or Grand Theft Auto. No, not that one, the other one. I like shooting games, so It's just not a thing that I'm into that much, to be honest. If we were going to get like a party kind of game, we'd get Mario Party, not Mario Kart. That's more our family style.
One game I do want to get, it's coming out soon, is I do want to get the new Doom on the Switch too. Like I think I'll enjoy that better. I might stop buying games for the Xbox unless they're like complete exclusives.
Well, see, I've got Games Pass, so I get Games Pass.
Like you're right, yeah.
And then I
like,
just get it
no
all
need.
included, or I can just wait for Games Pass games to go on every other console, and I pay full price for them. Let me choose. But
like I mean, no, and with PlayStation, they got exclusives that do eventually end up migrating to PC, but they got exclusives. They're Sony games. And Nintendo will always just be Nintendo. Have you tried out the GameCube Classics channel?
I haven't got
yet,
I canceled my Nintendo Online because I wasn't playing them, and I'm just like, ugh, what's the point of having this? It makes no sense to me. You know what I mean? So I'm not really that worried about it, to be honest.
Nah.
But can I just one more thing? This is a Nintendo real big gripe, this one. So the Pro Controller works with your Switch 2.
Yep.
They bought the first one, they made it, and then and you can work it with your... That's lovely at Nintendo to think of backwards compatibility.
For controllers.
And then they decided that they would give you a Pro Controller 2, which basically looks exactly the same as the Switch 1 Pro Controller. Is there anything different? Have you seen a huge difference?
I don't want to do it on a live broadcast. My Switch 2 controllers over there, I just show you. But no, okay. So the main difference for me, especially, a lot lighter. It's a lighter controller. It's the same size. There is 2 buttons on the back that initially do nothing. But depending on what game you're playing, you can program them, which is nice. I haven't tried it yet. I might just do that with Ocarina of Time, see if it makes it like... Not that it's horrible on the Switch Pro Controller, but you could probably make it just a little bit more, I don't know, accurate, especially with the Z trigger.
But do you know what Nintendo did to be Nintendo? Like, for my gripe, my last gripe. Yeah. They decided that you'll be able to do the Pro Controller from the Switch one, but the Pro Controller home button will no longer activate your console. You can no longer start your console with the Pro. So if you press how you press the home button to turn your console on if it's docked? That doesn't happen if you've got a Pro Controller 1. That's why you have to buy the Pro Controller 2.
I see. Okay, well, see, I got the 2 anyway.
Yeah, I know.
And I wanted to give Tess some controllers too, so when I'm over there, we can play Mario Kart and family can play Mario Kart and we'll have fun. So I was like, I'll just get the Switch 2 Pro Controller. Why not? Get the canonical controller for that system. If I ever want to do something funky down the road, I can say that I have a controller for a lot of game consoles. I wanted a Switch 2 controller. Oh,
I get it, but isn't that just dirty? Can't like these things annoy me.
Kinda, yeah. Yeah, well, can I get to my... Oh, I'm actually surprised you didn't mention this. Have you put a game into the Switch 2 yet?
Oh, my God. It just flies back out. It just doesn't seem to want to be in there.
It's got that weird... I guess you could call it a plunger. It's like... it's that little metal... Not metal, but plastic thing that acts as kind of like a cover that keeps it down. What the hell's that all about? The Switch 1 didn't have that.
No. Oh, it's probably waterproof now. It's probably like rated to like a certain water resistance now. Only if you've got the plunger thing on. That's the only thing I can think of.
I don't know. Like, I don't think that's a good enough excuse to do that.
No,
it sucks.
What they did? They probably did it so you can't make cases for it. So then you have to buy more Switch 2s. That's probably all they did it for. I'm guaranteeing.
No, like I was like, thank God I got the warranty. I'm just saying, like, if something about this sucks, yes, fix it now immediately. But that is probably my biggest gripe with it. It's a physicality thing. The Joy-Cons technically are better.
Surprised at how good they magnet.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
And they stay on there. I was worried about that.
Yeah. It is way more satisfying than you could ever imagine. It's probably the greatest thing about the Switch 2 is how good those magnets are.
That sound is the sound. It's like, oh, it makes that sound in life.
Yeah. It feels so good too. It's so satisfying. Just go click. Oh, yes. I did the Nintendo sound.
I do want to get another pair of Joy-Cons at some point, because I want, I do a lot of the games. Do you have any type of coming up games for the Switch 2 that you want to pick up? Because there are a lot of good
mainly
ones.
Donkey Kong. I'm really pumped for that. Yeah. And what's the one you've been talking about for a while now?
Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah. When's that coming out? That I like the way it turns into a ball. That actually looks really good.
Did you ever play any of the other Metroid Primes?
Yes, I have played them, and they don't look nearly as. I kind of get bored in a lot of them because it just feels like I'm doing the same shit over and over. Where that one looks a bit more like you're exploring a whole lot of different environments. So I'm really interested to see that one.
One thing I love about the Metroid Prime series in particular, I like how Metroidvanias are their own genre now, and they're a popular genre. There are a lot of Metroidvanias coming out, and a lot of them are really, really good. And it's just nice that Metroid is just definitive of that. So, and when you play Metroid Prime, it is just a 3D Metroidvania. But for the life of me, I can't think of many other games like that have that type of backtrack. And like you said, you get kind of bored because you're going over the same land over and over and over again.
Not 3D. There's a lot of 2D games like that. But not so many 3D games. So yeah, you're kind of right about that.
It would have one that actually comes a lot closer than other people think is the original God of War. You do eventually go to other places, but there is some points in the game where you're clearly in a section that involves backtracking, getting this thing, being able to open this door. Yeah, kind of thing that put on after I was rambling. But yeah, Metroid Prime 4 is supposed to be coming out. All they've said so far is 2025. They haven't elaborated.
I've been kind of waiting for that for a long time now. It's been teased for such a long time, so it's I'm
worried about that game. I love Metroid. This is a day one purchase for me. I'm buying Metroid the day it comes out, but it's not the biggest selling Nintendo franchise. It's also one of the few it doesn't do well in Japan. Metroid has never been a big sell in Japan. It's done well over in States. Honestly, I don't know how well it did in Australia. You'd have to. Did you know of it?
It's not the biggest thing here. It's medium kind of thing. I think it was designed to be almost the early version of Halo in some ways. It was probably designed for the American market, to be fair. It's got that feel to it.
Well, you go back and I've always thought it always kept the same good thing, exploration, which Metroid Prime 4 I'm sure will have good. They kind of faltered a little with 3. 3 broke up the exploration just a little bit. It still felt like Metroid at certain points, but there were some things that were kind of radical. I'm hoping that Prime 4 kind of brings it back to being regular. Also, one thing I haven't tried out, I want to try it with Cyberpunk, and I do want to try it with Metroid. I haven't used the mouse function yet.
I was going to ask if you'd use that because
no.
a lot of people are saying that it's really annoying to kind of click, it feels like you're going to get arthritis in your hands from the way that you're holding the mouse because it's uncomfortable to do for a prolonged period of time. So I'm interested to get more opinions on that. There's a lot of people that are,
I'm not in a rush to do it. I think it's a cool option for certain things. If Mario Maker came out with an update that gave you the mouse option, I would. I don't like using the touchscreen on the Switch.
Yeah.
because because it's the Switch. It was different when it was the Wii U.
Mhm.
Like I don't know. I just don't feel like smudging up the screen of the Switch. And doing it on a controller was all right, but it got a little tiresome. But being able to do that with a mouse would be great.
I mean, that's why I like the Steam Deck, because you've got those little mouse pads, which are really, really nice. Like they
Yeah,
feel
they
like
come
you're
in
using
handy
a mouse.
sometimes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm surprised that Nintendo didn't go with something like that, but I suppose that then they would be copying the Steam Deck too much.
Like
My
I
Yeah, sorry. I was going to say my biggest problem, I think, with the Switch 2 is the idea, the idea about it. If this had been released 2 years ago, I think I would have been loving. I think it would have been the greatest thing ever. But it's only a tiny bit better if you compare the specs of this and the Steam Deck. That it's not. It is better than the Steam Deck slightly in specs, but it's hard to compare because the components are a bit different. But it's
Right.
not majorly. It's not a major upgrade to the Steam Deck. But it is. But if it's got the 7-year life cycle that the Switch 1 had, this is going to be the same problem we had with the Switch 1 at the end of its life cycle. It's going to be absolutely not being able to play any games that you want it to play. It's going to be struggling with everything it does. It's going to be hard to develop for and all that kind of stuff. Because like you just said, like it's not that much. It's pretty close to a PlayStation 5. It's pretty close to an Xbox. It's not too far away from that. But they're going to come out with new consoles next year or the year after, which are going to be 10 times better than they are now. And the Switch is going to look old and useless and not very, it's not going to be that much of a thing. And that's where I think there's a bit of a problem with the Switch too. Because for running Nintendo games, last bit, for running Nintendo games, then that's fine because Nintendo can optimize their games to run really well on the Switch too. But then when you get all the third-party games like your Call of Duties and all this, they're going to start looking garbage in a couple of years running on a Switch 2 because the Switch 2 is going to be way behind again.
Okay, so that was a problem for the Switch 1 if you were looking for that. If you were looking for the cutting edge games.
Yeah.
The Nintendo banked, and the Switch 1 was, successful because of this, on just like, first, obviously catering to the younger audience. They got the franchises. Pokemon, Mario is still strong. Zelda is still strong. They just got these like top tier homegrown franchises that can carry any console.
Yeah.
Because just on brand recognition alone, people know what it is. Not that Sony and Microsoft don't either. Sony more than Microsoft maybe, but they got their own franchises. They don't touch Nintendo's franchises. So I think that like the Switch 1 kept them more afloat going towards the end of their life cycle, which is kind of surprising that they're actually coming out with like a Mario Kart right off the bat. That was the first, like obviously in its life cycle, it's getting a Mario Kart game. It got it day one. So like maybe there will be a sequel to Mario Kart World someday on this, but there's no reason to just not update the current version. And by the time the Switch 2 life cycle ends, I'm sure a game like that will be jacked. But there are other franchises that they could work on for the Switch 2 when that time comes, when the PS6 and the whatever Xbox decides to call their system now. Maybe something good for one. I don't know.
Some rumors and they're very weird. But what? There's the thing though. We're looking at it like they're going to be, like making a Switch, the Switch games, Nintendo games, but they're trying to make it so third parties can go to the Switch now. And if they're going to make third party games like AAA titles that release on PlayStation and Xbox, it's only a matter of a couple of years and they're going to be going, this is too hard to put onto a Nintendo device because it's so outdated. And I think Nintendo is running out of recycling. they've recycled all their games so many times, and they do come out with new games every now and then, but it's not like they used to. They release one new game and then they recycle 5 old games, and they can only recycle them how many times before like people get sick of them or whatever.
I mean, who knows? Because some franchises do eventually go by the wayside. Not just franchises, but the games themselves. Some stay strong. Some stay strong no matter what they do. Mega Man, more or less, they remain unchanged, and it was always modestly successful. I'm trying not to just think of easy answers like Mario and all those that die down. But the fact is, there are people who do want to play the old shit. There are a lot of people that want the new, the innovative, tomorrow stuff. But a lot of people just get into a groove and just ride right through it.
But
so
that's the argument almost. So if I was gonna recommend a console right now, a handheld to anyone, I think I'd still recommend them the Steam Deck, because you can get the old stuff unless you're really Mario specific. The old stuff you can still get on Steam. You can still play a whole heap of games. So. Yeah, I don't know.
If I had to choose between my Steam Deck and my Switch 2, I'd definitely pick the Steam Deck. But a couple things it has going for it for me. One, the library's larger.
Yeah.
I would even say I got more Steam games than I do physical Switch and maybe even digital Switch games. So just the library's better.
Yeah.
Control-wise, I'll say Nintendo Switch is better. I still can't get used to Steam Decks. For some games it's fine. I tried playing Tony Hawk on it. Can't do that good.
I like how big it is. Like, I've got big hands though. Like, I'm a big dude, so maybe it's the size of your hands. The size of your Cyber Pack package.
I got like meaty hands. So, but yeah. So for that, it's not too much better. I do like the game variety on the Steam Deck just naturally is better, but Nintendo's got to have a lot more classics. Not that Steam Deck doesn't have a lot. I got Mega Man on Steam Deck, Castlevania, Contra, Tomb Raider, like all these old timey games on the Steam Deck. But when you compare it to the Nintendo offering of retro gaming, it's not even close.
Yeah.
Like for that end, and retro gaming is still it's a niche. It's a targeted like a market there to exploit for money.
Oh yeah,
I'm of it. The first thing I played on the Switch 2, because while my Switch 2 was on, did you transfer over your data from your Switch 1?
No, because I traded in all my old consoles to get the new one.
Did you at least you deleted it, right? Just like completely wipe it before you
wiped it off. Yeah.
Right. Well, I was transferring my old stuff to the Switch too. It's funny. It actually did it by it being next to it in the same room. So I maybe it used Wi-Fi, but it turned out to be pretty quick. So while everything was downloading at certain speeds, and one of the first things to download was my Mega Man Legacy Collection. So I just booted up just to make sure everything was running good with the system. And yeah, I played some Mega Man real quick on the Switch too.
Did you hear about the person that had been playing Pokemon from the original Game Boy Advance, collected all that, moved that save data onto the next Nintendo device, moved it onto the next Nintendo device, had pretty much an infinite amount of collected things that they collected in all these Pokemons over the years, and then went to move it from and they got it all onto the Switch 1, and then they went to move it from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2, and it deleted it and corrupted their data. Oh, is that grounds for suing someone? I feel like that's almost grounds for suing. It's
okay, no, that does suck. It sucks. That sucks. But at the same time, it's save data. No. I don't.
So
I
like
in the legal. Well, if there was an option to transfer and it did that, yes. But if unless did Nintendo at any point say do not do this, it will destroy your console?
No,
because if they said that, then
Oh, they probably have it in their fine print somewhere. But it wasn't a bad thing. It was like years and years of collecting and keeping the same save file all these years, and the same file for some reason when it went from Nintendo Switch 1 to Switch 2, it deleted it off the Switch 1 and put it on the Switch 2, but then it went corrupt on the Switch 2, so all that save, like millions of hours, whatever it was all corrupt and done, and they have to start again. Like, I don't know, I'd probably cry.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's happened to me before, but, sometimes the opposite happens. I don't know if you could relate this to the same story. I have some Zelda save data from, on my NES cartridges.
Mm-hmm.
I checked recently. They're still on. Like, that data is still saved. I booted it up, and it's where I saved the game. And that's running off a almost 40-year-old battery now.
That's crazy. That's actually really cool.
I actually looked it up. Those batteries are only supposed to last like 15 to 20 years.
So yours has got nuclear
like
power or something in it. You got
maybe, yeah. I don't want to get rid of it because I don't feel like beating Zelda 2 again.
But I do think I do like the Nintendo Switch 2. I just think there's a really lack of games, and I kind of hated some of the little stupid ideas that Nintendo's implementing. I understand kind of why they're doing it, to try and make more money, and they're not doing anything for making anything safer for anyone. But the console itself's actually a decent offering for right now. It just needs some more games, and it needs some more stuff, basically. But yeah, I do like the screen is great. Like, the sides of the screen is amazing, and so there is some good things about it. I like it how they've made it so you've got a USB-C at the top and the bottom, so depending on if you're docking it or if you're trying to charge it while you're playing, they've thought of some good things that are amazing. I love the way it clips, the side grips clip on. I just like the black with the little color defect. I like the look of it. I like the back stand. They have improved a lot of things and thought about a lot of things, but then with their software, they've kind of turned into arseholes. Like EA, it's maybe the guy from EA's gone to Nintendo. I'm throwing that out there as a conspiracy theory right now.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I know I probably come off as a big Nintendo apologist.
No, you.
And for that,
Nintendo.
I'm sorry. But Nintendo does suck, and I hate being devil's advocate, whatever, blah 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 blah. What company isn't pulling shit like this off? There are some good companies. Valve is one of them. As far as big companies,
I don't think Xbox is that bad. Like, I feel like Xbox, after the Xbox One, and they forced everyone into buying a camera or a Kinect 2, after they made that catastrophic mistake, they've seemed to have really put the gamers first in a lot of their decision-making processes.
Yeah, the one thing I would say probably the biggest concern where I was like, what? When it came to Xbox, Microsoft in general, was when the Xbox One was about to come. It was really at the twilight of the Xbox One coming out, and they were gonna make it that So if I buy a new copy of Halo and I put it in my Xbox One, I can play. I'll play it. If I let you borrow it, you have to sign into my profile, or else you won't be able to play it. Because it'll be only playable. And at the time, PlayStation 4 didn't let you do that shit. Yeah. You just let someone borrow the game, and then they install it, and there you go. Be done with it. And Sony pounced on them for that. That was funny. I enjoyed that.
Oh, definitely. Xbox that was around the Xbox One thing. They started all this licensing mumbo jumbo back then. I hate Xbox for doing this. But then they got so much backlash. They were probably ahead of their time. They got so much backlash that they've just gone, oh shit, gamers are powerful people. We should kind of step back and listen to these people. And then a lot of the decisions that Xbox makes now makes it easy for you to play games, easy for you to enjoy games. Like Game Pass is, I think, it's great for, especially if you have kids and kids don't know what they want to play on a good day. So you have kids and you go, here's Game Pass. There's like 500 games. Go and play one, and they're like, "Oh shit, can I play all of these?" And they're kind of learning, and they can find out about games without you spending tons of money as a parent. So, yeah, I like that.
One thing I can't forgive Nintendo on is when they shut down like fan made like remakes of like Ocarina of Time. Like you'll see Ocarina like running on Unreal Engine and shit, and it looks awesome. You know, it looks so sweet. Nintendo just swoops in and plucks that out.
I kind of have that. No, I don't.
Oh,
okay.
I'd be like,
whoa. Nintendo might listen to me and come after me.
They might listen to you.
Yes.
I just want to say I paid for all my Nintendo products here.
Yes, I paid for everything. Nintendo, I paid for absolutely everything. Nothing bad. Okay.
I've given you way more than legal fees would ever give.
Yeah.
But yeah, that does still suck. I don't agree with at the very least partner with these people. They're good enough to do it. Shit, cut them a check. You know, like be like, all right, here, let us take this. We won't sue. You know, they don't even give them that option. They just like shut it down.
Yeah, I don't know why they do that because what was that new game that Bethesda released just recently, the remake of something or other, and they went to the modding community and they said to them, "Oh, you guys have been modding Elder Scrolls, I think it was, for like such a long time now. We such appreciate you guys. Here is how many people are in your team, how many people are modding it," and they're like, I don't know, like 80 people, and they're like, "Here's 150 keys. You guys are the like heart and soul of this community." And I'm like, that's actually really cool. Like, why don't they do that more often? Like gaming companies go, recognize and supportiveness. Like if you've got super fans, look after those people. Don't just go, "Oh, you know what? We've released the Switch 2 version of this now. You can go and buy it for an extra like $150.
Right. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's in a way, it's almost in and of itself good advertising. It would be nice to see Nintendo actually work with these people and reward them for their breakthroughs. You know, I think that would be good advertising. That make people be like, "Oh wow, Nintendo's cool as shit. I'm gonna buy some of their products now."
Do you think Nintendo's living in the 80s still? Like this is their way of doing things, the very 80s type way of doing things. You know, that's how we used that. Like Sega would have done the same thing back then. I think all of those consoles back in Atari would have done that as well, because that's what you did in the 80s. So maybe Nintendo just hasn't progressed past that.
You know, I mean, perhaps, but at the end of the day, like the money's the money. And Nintendo, but this is the biggest, like, you know, consoles day one sold of all time. At least here in the States. I don't know if it's worldwide or anything like that.
It's worldwide.
Oh, it is. All right, yeah. So, you know, that in itself, I do
love it that Nintendo made it hard for scalpers by just having so many consoles that scalpers are like, okay. But I almost feel like that's because Nintendo wanted to get all the money they could from it. It's like, instead of like scalpers buying them all and then sitting on all these consoles, you know, and driving the price up of the console. That's what happened to. It's kind of like, but I do love that there was available consoles. It reminds me of the good old days when there was, if the Nintendo, Super Nintendo came out, you could go and get it day one, and there wasn't a big problem. They just had enough of them because they knew how many people wanted to buy them, you know?
Oh, and like I cannot wait to see what Christmas looks like for video games in general. But like the way they'll be advertising the Switch 2 will be nice. Especially if Metroid comes out around that time. But they'll probably have something else too.
Oh yeah, I'm interested.
It's not like Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out.
I'm kind of interested to see if Nintendo goes on with their online stuff. And what I mean by that is Nintendo has been such a one-player orientated thing for a long time. Like all of their games, Zelda's, Mario, a lot of the games are really one-player orientated games. And then with the Switch 2, they're encouraging people to buy the cameras so they can talk to each other while they play. They're encouraging people to buy the microphones and all that kind of stuff. And what I'm curious about, if they start changing the direction of the way that they develop games, so all Mario Karts will be multiplayer, online multiplayer. If all of their first-person games, like even Zelda, will be online multiplayer. Things like that would be really interesting to me. If they start making a lot of these online multiplayer, like turning their first-person games into online multiplayer. I don't know if it would work because that's what is Donkey Kong Bonanza. Is that going to be online multiplayer or only a single-player game? I don't know.
From all accounts, it's strictly single player. There might be some multiplayer things here and there, but I wouldn't it's not Fortnite. No. It's not anything like that. Oh, I heard that. I heard Fortnite got upgraded for Switch 2. It's got the Switch 2 upgrade.
Yeah, they did do I didn't understand that though, because it was signed into our account and it said, "Oh, you've got Fortnite on there. Do you want to upgrade it and install it?" We're like, "Yeah, okay." And so then Fortnite goes, "Oh, hang on, you've got the Switch 1 version. Do you want to, you have to go into the store and do the Switch 2 version." And you're like, "Oh, my goodness. Why does everything have to be so hard?" And
hey, that's the future,
my other gripe, while Anthony's on his I hate the world, your memory cards don't work on the Switch 2 either from the Switch 1.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that pissed me off. Because Tess, she doesn't need all that room. I got a 256 card for my Switch 1. She didn't need all that. She plays Tetris, Mario Kart, and Little Kitty Big City.
Yeah.
Those are the only real games that she plays. So yeah, I loaded into my Switch 2 and it's like, oh, it doesn't work. So I looked it up. It has to have that EX symbol on the little thing. So yeah, I went to the store, picked one up, and I was able to get that is a disappointing thing. Only 256 on the system itself. That sucks.
Oh, it's a hell of a lot more than the 32 we got in the original Switch.
True, but I mean, it ain't what the Steam Deck's got.
Oh, even the even your bottom of the round Xbox Series S has got 500. So
yep.
So yeah, I think 256 is way, considering the size of most AAA games. That's not even a thing.
I mean,
yeah,
it would have been nice to have a solid terabyte, but I would have been just happy with 512. I think it should have had at least a half. But 256, I was like, So I just got another card of 256 because that's all that was available. And so far, that's been all right, but it does suck. I would rather have spent nothing to do all this.
But all in all, I'm not saying don't buy the Nintendo. I do think it's going. I'm pumped for Donkey Kong and a few of these other games that are coming out. I think I probably should have just stuck to my original thought process of waiting for a couple of months for it to come out. For me personally, I feel like there wasn't. I think I got on the hype train. I was like, everyone's buying one and I needed to be part of that. And I should have just waited and got one eventually. But yeah, when the other games come out.
I've had fun with Mario Kart World. I've had fun with my friends with Mario Kart World.
Are you using the camera?
My friend with no, I mean we couched it. My friend John, his birthday was on June 5th.
Even if you couch it though, and you got the camera in the room, I'm pretty sure it picks up all your faces and puts them on the carts, so you can tell what your friend's cart is via the couch.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Okay.
He didn't get a camera. I didn't. I'm not getting a camera right away. I'm not
God.
someone that plays a lot of online. Once, like, more
Until
of my
next
friends get a
episode of
show-
anything gaming, when you come
Yeah,
in,
right.
look at my piranha plant
Yeah,
camera.
look at my plant. Hello. He'll do most of the interview right now.
No, that's fine. All right. Well, I think we've said enough. Nintendo's out to sue us anyway for something, I'm sure.
Sorry.
we bought everything Nintendo. We love Nintendo. The end. See you guys next time.